All right, welcome back to Theory of Why. We're going to do something different on this episode. This is going to be a short form, much quicker, abbreviated version of the show. Mainly, I want to do this when I dive deep on topics that I think are really important for small businesses to be able to understand, grasp quickly, and have some actionable steps. And where this originated from was yesterday. I was in this office, just a little bit over on that side, and I was doing about 40 short reels with one of our interns here. She had about 40 prompts for me, and I didn't know the prompts ahead of time. We just sat down in front of the camera. She asked me the questions. I answered them. One of the questions that she had asked me were, what are 3 red flags that you see on most small businesses' websites? And that was a really good question. And the 3 red flags that I had given her were, there's no security, the design looks dated, and it's not mobile friendly. Those were the first 3 that I gave her off the cuff. But on this episode, I still want to make this centered around a year, and for this episode, the year is 1991. So as I'm recording this, it is July 18th. And the first website that was ever published was launched August 6th, 1991. So we're coming up on the 32-year anniversary of the website. And the first website that was published was actually an instruction manual about how to use the World Wide Web. So with that, knowing that fun piece of history that you can whip out at a party and then probably impress nobody, let's go ahead and look at some of my major red flags for a website. Now, there's 2 things I want to preface this conversation with. Number 1, your business doesn't need a website. I have friends who are in manufacturing and B2B businesses that don't have a website specifically because they don't want any additional attention on their business because they use all of their existing relationship channels to leverage their company and gain revenue. That's completely fine. Not every single business in the world needs a website. And I hate it when marketers are like, your business needs a website. If you're not online, your company doesn't exist. That's not true. And as a marketing person, of course, I would like 100% rating with all businesses having a website. But if it's not needed, then why would we sell it and push it? So in my opinion, not all businesses need a website. And if someone tells you that, they're just grossly uninformed or they're trying to screw you, one of the 2. So when I look at websites that are needed, websites for small businesses, there are several things to me that will tell me, okay, they haven't thought through the entire website game. The first thing is I go to a website, I look at the homepage, and I look up in the navigation bar, and I don't see that there's an about page. So the about page is missing. That's the first red flag. And the purpose of an about page is to let the consumer know who you are as a company. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. I look at marketing company websites all the time just so I can understand more about how people, present themselves and talk about themselves. And if I go to the About page and I scroll down and there's no information about the person who started the company or a brief write-up about the team, that's a major red flag to me because they're not willing to talk about who's guiding the ship, who here is steering this boat and going to be the person that is taking you on a journey. Now, the main reason I think people don't do that is because they are hoping to just get traffic into the website and then push that work overseas and do it with a lot of anonymity. Now, that's not a good strategy, which is why most marketing companies are up and down. So they're in business and out of business within their first year. And it's because of the lack of transparency. So if your company doesn't have an about page that accurately describes your mission, your vision, who your company is, and who the key leaders are, you're really, really making a major mistake.
That's kind of funny, Rob, that you mentioned that, just because just this past week I was looking for new gutters because I had some problems at the house and that, and the very first thing I started doing was I looked up, gutter installers near me, and almost every one of them that I went to, I usually like to get 3 or 4 bids before I get stuff. That was the first place that I popped on. As soon as it took me to their homepage, I always clicked right onto their about page, and I wanted to see how long they were in business, what they were doing, what the people looked like that were doing it. I don't know why it's just kind of coincidental, right? You just mentioned that today, and that's one of the first places I go to.
That's the majority of consumers, and that's why 90% of new business starts on Google. It's because people want to know who they're working with. They want to get a good, accurate representation of the company that they're going to be paying. Like recently, I was looking for someone to replace garage doors, and boy, was that a journey. I think we hit 7 companies. The 7th one finally did it. The first company was like, this can't be replaced. You need a whole new system, a new door, like everything. And I'm like, why would I need a new door for, seemingly a spring that's broken? And then finally one company came in and he said, yeah, we can do it. He's like, the reason why they tell you that is because it's a little bit extra labor, but he's like, you just pay us for the labor and we're good to go. It's like $300 and he was in and out. And he charged me for less than he quoted me. He's like, it didn't take as long as I thought it would, so it's going to be a little bit less, which is great.
Excellent. So there's a good referral for him for next time.
Yep.
And you're going to tell other people that are looking for garage door work, go use this guy.
Yeah, and both me and Beth wrote him a banging review on Google, so he got 2 Google reviews.
Yeah.
So those are the things that's how you build your business. And that starts with transparency online. So number 2 is, and I'm not putting these in any particular order, these are all things to pay attention to. Your website looks dated. Now, this can manifest itself in a few different ways. It can be that you haven't written a blog in 12 years, so your most recent blog is from 2011. It talks about what are we going to do with this, real estate market, and then we're 10 years removed. Or it can be that your design just looks extremely dated. It looks like your website's straight out of 1998. And it just feels old. And when a consumer goes onto a website and it doesn't look updated, it doesn't look like someone's taking care of it, the first thing they think about in their head is, wow, they're not going to take care of me. Now, that might not be logical at all to most people to think about an outdated website translating to someone thinking that a business isn't going to treat them well, but that's what people think about. It's the same reason why if someone goes onto a restaurant's website and they look at pictures and the food looks dated or it doesn't look bright and vibrant and appetizing, they're not going to go eat there because the food doesn't look good. So if the website doesn't look good, they're going to think that translates into the service that you offer. So you want to make sure that website isn't dusty. So is it clean? Is it fresh? Are you putting up new content? If you have a blog that's 10 years old, there's 2 things you can do. One, if it's giving you great SEO, then write more blogs. If it's not giving you any good SEO at all, then take all of the blogs down and don't have a blog page. Number 3, broken links. So are things broken on the website? Are you getting to the right places that you need to go? If I go to services and I click on your roofing company, I click on, what type of shingles you use, I click the link and it doesn't go anywhere, it goes to a 404, I'm going to probably leave because that shows me that you're not keeping things up to date on your website. And there's free broken link checkers out there. You can use them. Do a quick audit of your website. It'll tell you what links are broken, what buttons you need to fix, and then you can get those cleaned up in less than 5 minutes. So make sure that all of your links are pointing to the right direction.
That was going to be my number 1 thing, Rob, just because of the fact that when we bring a lot of guests in that podcast with our hosts that are here, and we usually will load up their social stuff, so I'll go out to their website before they get here, or while they're in the office still gathering their information, and I'll click on all their links to make sure what works. And I'd say probably 1 out of 8 websites that I look at has some sort of broken link, or they're sending you to a social link that doesn't exist or no longer exists or whatever. So I always mention that to them, say, hey, FYI, you should do something to fix that. So
yeah,
that's a pretty high number.
Yeah, it's wild, the upkeep. And this is the same thing I tell people for social media. Like, if you're not going to keep up your website, then take it down, or just put up a 1-page landing page that has contact information on it. Same thing with social media. If you're going to be in a spot where, you have Facebook and you haven't updated it since 2018, and it was a Thanksgiving dinner that you had with your team, and now we're, 5 years past that, people might think that you're out of business. They might think that you're not updating that feed and you've moved on to something else. So make sure that you're keeping things up to date online. I call them ports of entry. All of the ports of entry that someone can have into your business need to be updated. They all need to be similar in brand, style, look, and feel. All of those things need to be updated. Now, this is so commonsensical, but it's missing on the majority of websites that I see. And this is proper phone numbers and emails. Can I get a hold of you in a way that's not just some blank contact form that I think is going to go to info@ that nobody checks? So it's going to be info@business.com. No one checks that inbox. It's going to go to a dead spot. Recently, we acquired a company as a client, and I went into their website, checked out their forms, and they had like 83 forms that were submitted no one had responded to them. They weren't going to the right place.
Wow.
So that's a lot of potential business that you're missing out on. Granted, some of them were spam, some of them were people trying to sell them, services and whatnot, but some of them were legitimate customers. And if those forms aren't going to the right place, or if you don't have a phone number and email on there that people can reach out and contact you in their preferred way, then you run the risk of losing business. So
and it's customer voice, right? I'm saying, I try to reach person X, never got a response back from them, don't use them.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
That works a couple different ways.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Contact and communication is huge. I don't like to let any web form or voicemail or anything sit longer than a business day. A great example is this is a personal anecdote for our business here. I had a guy send me an email when I was out of office, and it went to an inbox that only I see. So when I got back, it was 3 days later. And I had given him a call, and I said, hey, I'm back in the office. And he's like, oh, I already found another company that does what I was looking for. I was like, oh, totally understand. I was like, glad you found someone that can help you out. And he's like, I do want to see your studio and maybe do a tour in case this one doesn't work out. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Come on in. So he came in yesterday and then toured the space, loved it, and then decided to, not work with the other company and come work over here and do a couple episodes here, which is great. But had I have called him the same day that I was here, or had that going to someone in the company that could have called him back when I wasn't here, we would have not had to worry, but we wouldn't have had to go through the whole process of, all right, well, now we got to have him come in here for a tour and figure out if he likes the space, and it would have saved a lot of time, and it would have given him a better customer service experience as well by having that near instantaneous response. I love this one. This is what Wayne Media is built on, which is transparency of money. So do you have a starting point for how much your services cost online? Now, let me preface this by saying I know that some companies don't do this intentionally because it can be like, let's say you're an estate planning attorney. Like, it can be very hard to put like a calculator or say, exactly what your rates are going to be, because every estate's different. All the documentation needed for, a person's life varies. So the best you could probably do is our estate plans are either 20% below market or they start at a certain rate, and that's probably as good as you're going to get. But if you're a service company and the things that you do are pretty formulaic, you can absolutely put those prices online, and don't be afraid of it. I like putting our pricing online as an agency because it serves as a qualifier. Now all the people that are calling me and talking to me already know about how much they charge, or how much we charge rather, how much they can expect to spend. So now instead of having a conversation with someone, getting to the end, giving them the price, and then they bounce, which wastes both my time and their time, they are now in a position of knowing what the price is, calling me, being qualified, and now we're just talking about the services and if we're a good fit for each other. It saves a lot of time on the sales process, which is why I don't have a full-time salesperson. My website is my salesperson. A couple more here as we wrap this up. Terrible copywriting. In the last video we did, we talked about meaningful copy when it comes to advertisements that are effective. If you have generic stock ChatGPT generated content on your website, it's going to do two things for you. One, it's going to downgrade you in Google's rankings because Google doesn't like content that's not specific, unique, and curated towards a particular company. Their algorithms can read that, they can detect it. If it's something that's general and fluffy, they can tell you that, oh, this is copied content from somewhere else. This is something that is not on brand for a particular company. And they will say, okay, this is not an actual web page that we want to promote.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. This is crazy. So in fall of 2022, Google released an algorithm change that wanted unique content on websites. So a lot of companies that were using blog farms, like you might have a legal practice, and that legal practice uses this blog farm. That blog farm writes one legal ad on, decriminalization of marijuana, and then 400 attorneys get that blog, they take it, copy, paste it, add it to their website. So now that blog exists 400 times over. Google didn't want that replicated content out there. They wanted unique content. So a lot of websites that had good SEO based on that content were then downgraded.
So, but would it still catch it if you made it unique, added your company name, people that were in the company, yada, 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 make it personalize.
If you
your
changed
company.
up the blog, if you just said, "Oh, I'm going to take some elements of it and it's going to influence how we write," yeah, that's totally fine. And that's what I recommend doing, is using ChatGPT as a, kind of a launching pad for. Here's what you can do for your company, or here's what you can do for this particular service, using that and then putting your own spin on it and putting it on the website. That personalizes it. But just a straight copy paste from a blog farm, you're going to get in trouble. So I said it does two things for you. One, it can downgrade you on Google. The second thing it can do is it can deter customers because they're reading the copy and it's like boring, it's fluffy, it says really nothing of importance, nothing of meaning. It doesn't motivate them in any particular direction. So that copy can get really, really bad for you really quickly, not only on the Google and SEO front, but also on the customer front. And you don't want that. You want people to read your website and be like, wow, these guys are unique, they're original, they talk in a way that I want to be a part of, I want to learn more about them. The number of people that have looked at both the Wayne Media and Speakeasy website and are like, wow, I love how it's written, or I love the design, or I love the look, or I love all the names of the services for the Speakeasy, it's all bourbon themed. They're like, that's really unique, that's really cool. And I hear that all the time, and we put a lot of time and effort into that so people know that it is custom. It's not something that we just got out of a box and opened up and put on the website. So make sure your copy is not fluffy. Super important. I mentioned the three things at the top of the episode that I mentioned in the other red flag video, and they were not having security on your website. So this is a SSL. It is a level of bit encryption on the website that makes your website less vulnerable to attacks. But not only that, if you go to a website and it's not secure, people are not going to want to put in information on your website because they might think it can be hijacked. It's just consumer perception. It might not get hijacked, but people just think that it may. So that's enough for them not to put in information. So make sure that security lock on the top of your domain is tightened up. If you have a platform like Squarespace or Wix, typically that SSL is included in the licensing. And if it's on WordPress, you can find an SSL for very, very cheap. The other two things I mentioned were your website not being mobile friendly. That's pretty straightforward. If you open your website on your phone and you have to turn it horizontal and start doing a lot of pinch and zoom, that's usually a sign that your website's not mobile friendly. So make sure you change that immediately.
That is a showstopper. I'll leave a website just like that on my phone if I got to deal with that.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like if you've glasses and like you're like, I gotta be able to see it, and it's the size of like fortune cookie font all over because it's a desktop version.
Scrolling left to right to read the whole sentence and keep on going back and forth.
Yeah, it's like no way. Yeah, no way would you want to do that. And then the other thing that I mentioned was just bad design, and we talked about that a little bit with one of the previous points. But the design of your website really matters. This is why we believe in branding, and branding is more than a logo. It's more than colors. It's how your company is defined. It's your culture. It's the words that you use. It's how you carry yourself. All of that is a part of your branding, and all of that can be and should be represented on your website. So bad design, people will bounce immediately. Like I said, if you got that 1998 website, people are not going to want to stick around because they think that you are probably out of business or out of touch, or maybe both. Last two things. Number one, you don't have good online reviews. Now, this doesn't have a lot to do with your website. This has more to do with your Google business profile. But if you don't have good online reviews and those reviews aren't pushed to the website, people might not think you're a credible business. This is why I like podcasting for businesses, because it allows people to demonstrate themselves as subject matter experts in their particular fields. And then also, if you do have Google business rankings and you have 49 5-star reviews, grab a code box, add it to your website, and then port those reviews over to your website. We do this for all of our clients, and we have a specific script that we run, and basically it just takes all of the reviews from the business and adds them to the website. And every time a new review is added, that script pulls it from Google and automatically adds it to the website. Now you might say, well, Rob, what if we had a 1-star review and we couldn't get it removed and it was a client that really wasn't a client? We don't want that to show up on our website. Yeah, well, the script that we wrote, you can filter, do you want 3 stars and above, 4 stars and above, 5 stars and above? So it'll just take those reviews and add them to the website. Because I know that, one, you're going to get a bad review here and there, and it's something that you don't really want to publicize on your website. It's something you definitely want to respond to on Google in a proper way. And you also might get a 1-star review from someone that has nothing to do with your business. We met with a There's a tree company yesterday was in here. And someone was, I forget what they said, it was something as silly as like someone was reviewing the cereal that they made. No, it was ramen noodles, that's what it was. Someone had reviewed ramen noodles on their tree company page, and they're like, we don't even make ramen noodles. and the wife that was telling me this, she's like, so we tried to get Google to strike it, they wouldn't. And then finally, after some time, they ended up getting it pulled down. But like, those are the type of reviews you don't want on your website, because you don't want people thinking you're making ramen noodles when you're a tree company. So that script that we've written filters out those those reviews. But that's important. Having those online reviews and being able to demonstrate your value as a company, all of those things are super important as you start building out all of the pages of your website, because it lets people know who you are. They see your reviews, they see customer feedback, they see your about page, they see an updated blog, maybe a podcast, your videos, your service pages are all laid out really nicely with a clear call to action. That's a great website. If it's laid out in a way that people can easily navigate, they can get to what they want to in less than 5 clicks, those are the hallmarks of a great website. And if you don't have one, you need to find an agency, someone local that you trust, a website company that can build one for you, and make sure that you vet them. On both Wanecast and this show, I've done episodes on 25 and 10 questions to ask your agency when it comes to building a website. Go back, listen to those shows, and make sure that you're asking those questions of the website company that you choose. So that's it. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Let me know what you think. If you're a web developer, if you've had problems developing websites in the past or problems with agencies in the past, I'd love to hear about it in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching this week's episode of Theory of Why. Also, let me know what you think about the new format. This is going to be something that we're going to do once in a while when we drill down on very specific topics like websites, marketing, videography, but I still like the format of going back and tying in a historical analysis to a theme for small businesses. So we're going to be going back and forth. But I like this new format just as a way of getting a short version of an episode. And I think I said 7 minutes. We're probably at 25 minutes, so I was way off. But nonetheless, hopefully there's a lot of value in those bullet points I gave you, even though the show is 4 times longer than I thought it would be. So let me know what you think. I'll catch you in the comment section. Take care.